chocolate cake is money.
I love you for that. Here's the hardcore title match. Matt and Jeff Hardy, Perry Saturn, Bob Holly, and Taz. It's 12 minutes and 20 seconds. Of course, Crash Holly is in here, and he's going to retain the title by scoring the first pin. Meltzer would say everyone worked hard and stiff, but it was almost like a battle royal, and then it was too many guys brawling at the same time, making it hard to watch. Jim Ross at least twice mentioned Taz as a former ECW champion. There is a stage fixture. Back in the day, they had different sort of themed pay-per-view sets, and we've got Crash and Matt Hardy climbing that thing. Of course, Crash winds up falling first, and he hooks his ankle and hanging backwards before eventually falling. And then Matt winds up delivering a plancha from 12 or 13 feet up. It's pretty cool when they could, I don't know, do something with those sets. But some of this stuff in hindsight, it's a little silly. Cookie sheets as weapons and things like that. What'd you think? Star and 3/4 is what Meltzer gave it.
I never was a big fan of the hardcore matches. I've always been a big fan of one-on-one matches that had a quote unquote hardcore rule. All the hardcore stuff is simply a way to help market the ECW brand. Hardcore,
Right.
Here, I'm a big listener, regular listener of Busted Open on Sirius XM channel 156. And there's a lot of hardcore ECW oriented talk there because obviously, Bubba Dudley, who by the way is doing a great job on that show as a broadcaster, very compelling broadcaster. He's found another skill set that he's good at. But he and Tommy Dreamer is also a frequent guest there. Dave LaGreca, they're big ECW guys, and so forth. And by the way, just real quick, throw this in. Mark Henry not only is in the Hall of Fame, several. He's been a multiple-time world champion. He's become a hell of a broadcaster on radio as well. I've always thought that Mark had a great future in Hollywood. So if you get a guy that's got his look and he's articulate, he's got a very expressive face, he's coachable, then if you get him a movie role while he's still under contract, he's all of a sudden he becomes a bigger star. All those things are on the table. So the theory of us trying to get rid of Mark Henry, was just not accurate, and quite frankly. But the ECW thing was, that was an asset. Vince was, we owned it, right? I mean,
yeah.
So you own the IP, you own the library, you own everything.
You don't at this point, but you're going to, and you're certainly sort of backdooring them some cash, and you have a good relationship with them. And if there's a subset of fans who like this, we got to have it somewhere on the card.
Yeah.
It's like a buffet, right? You got to have something for everybody.
Exactly. And you and I love those goddamn buffets, Conrad. Ooh, boy.
You think we'll ever get a buffet again, or is coronavirus taking buffets from us?
I don't know, man. Golden Corral may be in trouble, folks.
Let me ask you about something.
I was going to say this about the hardcore thing real quick.
Sure.
It's become a joke.
Right.
And every unbooked, underneath talent on the WWE roster seems to get a cup of coffee in a hardcore match. That's their exposure. So you got all these multiple hardcore matches of guys running around like Benny Hill, the Keystone Cops, or any other any other comedic group that I can age myself even more with. It's become a joke. It's time to go make a sandwich or whatever. If you look back and you mention the talents in this damn thing, Taz,
yeah.
Holly, Perry Saturn,
the Hardys,
and the Hollies.
Yeah.
That was a good group. That was a good group of talent. So when you up the talent and their skill sets and how proficient they are in the ring, the presentation all of a sudden takes an entirely different look and presentation and feel. And so at least at that time, the hardcore stuff was going to be kind of funny. Some funny spots, like you said, the cookie sheets and things like that. I think Taz got knocked out in this match with a stop sign. It's just using gimmicks.
Right.
And taking headshots. So all of a sudden you got unprotected headshots. Well, not good. We know that now. But I thought that was one of the better presentations. But getting a couple of stars out of a hardcore match under those auspices is daunting. So I think that the rating for that match probably was about right. Had nothing to do with the effort, but the concept. The concept itself was suspect, shall we say, to be nice.
Let's pivot to something that I found in my research. And I'll admit, I didn't know that this was a thing. But apparently Taz and Crash Holly had some problems a few years prior to this. I guess Crash goes to the ECW House of Hardcore to get trained. Taz is basically running that at that point. They have some issues and Taz essentially kicks him out. Do you remember there being some talent relations issues between the two that you had to clear up?
Nope. Didn't bring it to me. Cause I would have solved it one way or the other, because that's what you got to do.
Sure.
You can't let lingering issues linger. Old issues need to go away. Bring closure as best you can. But I may have heard the story, that maybe Crash had a bad attitude or something. And look, be honest with you, Taz is not Mr. Congeniality all the time.
No. So,
I mean, he's a product of his environment. And, so he's a very aggressive, and demanding in a lot of ways, but he was a hell of a coach. He does a good job for AEW now when we have TVs where everybody's there. He does a good job of helping coach these kids up. And which is a good for us, but no, I don't remember anything. And look, if it would have been taken care of very quickly, very succinctly, and we would have moved on.
It's fascinating to look back at Taz in WWE because it's just a totally different presentation very quickly from what we were used to with ECW. And as you said, a major miss. Backstage, we see Shane McMahon being interviewed by Jonathan Coachman. A man that's jumped off at me, coach with hair. I hadn't seen that in a long time. I guess neither's he.
Yeah.
Shane is the referee in the main event, and he's happy that his dad's given him this responsibility, but he's ending this very quickly saying, "Hey, I got to get ready. The match is coming up." And next up, we get a video package for Big Show's match with Kurt Angle. And this is the start of Big Show becoming a comedic babyface. For a long time, he was the big heavy heel for the McMahon clan. And, he's been doing imitations for several weeks leading up to this match with Kurt Angle. And Angle is getting frustrated that Big Show is letting his talent, quote unquote, go to waste. And, Angle is doing one of his arrogant heel pre-match promos, saying that, like George Washington, he cannot tell a lie. Don't forget we're in Washington, DC. He says Big Show is a waste of talent. And, Angle said these people should be ashamed of re-electing Marion Barry. He says, look it up. And he said, some people are liars and cheaters, and look at the president. And he called him, himself a hero like he always does.
The president at that time, folks, was Bill Clinton. And Marion Barry was the mayor of Washington, D.C., who got popped smoking crack on camera.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. It's a thing.
A thing. This is fun. I'll be honest. I kind of forgot this was on this show. And when I saw Big Show come out, well, first of all, when they played Real American, Hulk Hogan's old theme song from the 80s. And let's not forget, WCW is not out of business. Hulk Hogan is still headlining pay-per-views for WCW, at least for a few more months until July. And now we've got Big Show coming out to his theme music with a bald wig on with a blonde mullet. And he's got the yellow and the boots, and it says Showster instead of Hulkster. Really just tremendous cosplay by Big Show. Super fun. The crowd is all over it. And, it's written in the Observer. Vince McMahon specifically told the announcers not to mock Hogan, as the feeling was doing so would be seen as coming down to the level of competition. If there was a mock, it was Jim Ross noting that when the crowd chanted Hogan, it's been a long time since so many fans in one building have chanted for Hogan, which is a knock at WCW not drawing shit for houses at the time. I loved this version of Big Show, and I thought he had a home run here. Of course, he does get the win, 2 minutes, 37 seconds. It's essentially a comedy squash, and maybe not the best use of Kurt Angle on pay-per-view, but good Lord, what a great and entertaining segment this was, at least for me. What'd you think?
If you look at it strictly for entertainment and not wrestling heavy, athletic heavy, in-ring bell-to-bell heavy, it was a hit. And I think that's what it was drawn out to be. I've always felt that we in WWE at the time could have done a much better job of highlighting Big Show. More with a giant, more with an attraction wrestler, more with the Andres, the attraction guys, Crusher Jerry Blackwell, Abdullah the Butcher, any other attraction type guy, Big John Studd, any of these larger than life characters that have a limited skill set and only do it, that just there's certain things they can do really, really well. But how many times can you see that? My point is, Big Show got grossly overexposed in that era of WWE, and he could have got over much bigger with less exposure, or the exposure could have been not live in front of the audience every single week, because he loses his specialness when he sees somebody every single week, and so I thought that was a error over looking back on it and using hindsight as 2020, but he pulled it off real well. And I think it's things like that have led to things like that, meaning the entertainment stuff, the comedy, have led to Big Show having his own sitcom on Netflix. He's basically the same kind of role. He's a comedic character. Paul White's got a great sense of humor, very sensitive guy, and he's a smart guy. So I just didn't think at that time a one-off here and there being, but he was doing all these impressions, and he was very good at it. But I don't know how I don't think it helped build that character as much as than I would have liked in my own mindset. But nonetheless, they pulled it off. Kurt showed great entertainment skills. He got it over, and Big Show pulled off the Hogan thing. When I saw that, when I watched the show back, it just jumped out at me. I'd forgotten about all the little nuances that Big Show did, because he had been doing those impersonations in the locker room or at catering or wherever for a long time. He was good at it, and he did a lot of different talents. So, but I just felt like maybe we could have got more money out of him by being not as big and cuddly as we were trying to make him the big, nice baby face. He's still 7 feet, 400 pounds. I'm going to sell that first instead of a sense of humor.
So here's the deal. I've heard about e-bikes, but I never really knew what they were until Rad Power Bikes. And now I'm thinking maybe I should get one. And maybe you're also thinking you need something for Father's Day or Mother's Day, maybe an anniversary or graduation present. Well, Rad Power Bikes is getting tons of great press. They were recently voted most affordable electric bike in 5 categories by electricbikereview.com. And oh, by the way, they're the largest electric bike brand in North America. And I got to tell you, this thing really piqued my interest. An electric bike. What is it? Well, it's like a cross between a traditional bike and a moped. But what makes Rad Power Bikes unique is that all of their e-bikes are affordable and built for every purpose, whether it's commuting, getting around town, getting out in nature, even transporting your kids around town, or just getting outside with your kids. And you want to talk about an alternative for public transportation? I think a lot of folks are going to be looking for an e-bike soon. Again, this is a cross between a traditional bike and a moped, but it doesn't require a special driver's license like a moped might. It goes up to 20 miles an hour without pedaling, so you can get outside and enjoy nature without getting all sweaty. And they are affordable. It's worth mentioning their bikes start at $1,200 and all of them are under $1,500. Meanwhile, other e-bikes can be over $3,000. And to show appreciation for those that service, Rad Power Bikes is offering $100 off all e-bike purchases for active or ex-military, first responders, teachers, even students. And how about this? They've got dedicated U.S.-based customer service 7 days a week to answer any of your questions or concerns. And of course, this makes the perfect gift for someone who loves being active or outdoors. But check this out. Rad Power Bikes offers flexible financing for as low as 0%. That's right, 0% APR. And right now is a limited time offer. You even get a free accessory with the purchase of a bike. You heard me, a free accessory. We're talking a gift up to $100 in value, and it's free with free shipping to the lower 48. To get this special offer, text the word grilling to 64,000. That's grilling to 64,000. Text grilling to 64,000. It's Rad Power Bikes. Next up, we get a video package airing, the hype for the TNA with Trish Stratus versus Dudley Boys match. And the story here is that Trish has taunted Bubba Ray Dudley. Of course, Bubba Ray Dudley in this era is running around powerbombing everybody, including Mae Young, which we've covered here on the show. And he's putting these ladies through tables. But when he's tried to put Trish through a table, she started to kiss his head and kiss on him. And then he went into a trance that allowed TNA to come save him. Or save her rather, and put the beat down on Bubba. So this is interesting to me because we've seen him as this He gets in this trance and he destroys everything.